Hi, welcome to episode 89 of the GrowCast show. My name is Lisa, and today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Stella Tan, and she's a Senior Associate Director at PropNex. Hi, Stella. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Lisa.
We're excited to hear about all the advice that you have to give us.
Okay.
So I'll just start with the first question about you. What made you get into the real estate industry and what were you doing before?
I was an interior designer and I am still an interior designer myself. And I graduated with a degree in interior architecture in Curtin University in Perth. Yeah. So what got me started was actually my mom. Way back when I was still in college, my mom sold her place. But I think without proper advice, she wasn't able to purchase another place. So we were kind of homeless at that time. So my brother had to buy a place with his wife, and then I have to bunk in, and my mom will have to, bunk in with, she remarried. So she had to bunk in with uncle's brother. So it was quite a bad journey, honestly. Yeah. So that got me thinking that, interior design and real estate actually could blend in.
What do you think is the most interesting case that you've experienced throughout your career?
So there are many interesting cases, but one that I think I have to point out. So I had this client whom went ahead so his intention was good. He didn't want to manipulate the system because his main intention was actually to purchase. If he come across a retirement home, he wants to go ahead and purchase without any worries of the additional buyer stamp duty. So what he did was he went to decouple with his wife, not knowing the consequences. And so when he did that, the convincing lawyer also didn't actually went in depth to ask them what's the reason for doing so. They just assumed that he wanted to buy a second property, but his intention wasn't that. So when I found out, and I was telling him that, do you know that you are now subjected to 50% of the share, but you're subjected to seller's stamp duty for that 50% for 3 years. So he was very shocked with that. And then we had a hard time trying to find a buyer who accommodate because there was still 2 years left for seller's stamp duties. So in the end, we managed to find a buyer who's willing to wait 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting situation. Also, I wonder how his wife must have taken it.
Yeah, I think they were quite shocked when I told them about this. So I told them in future, any property matters, please just come to me first before you proceed to, do any engagement.
So the golden question for 2025, are property prices going to go up or down?
So based on a few banks analysts, prices are likely to stabilize or it may rise slightly, but maybe more in the outskirts. These are all what we gather from the different analysts from the banks. So the luxury segment seems to be softening and developers are coming in with really sensitive pricing. Yeah, for that segment.
So when you say properties in the outskirts will probably rise, what do you mean by the outskirts? Which areas would be the outskirts?
So we are referring to, we call it the outside central region.
Yeah.
So we are talking about like the neighborhoods.
I see the heartland areas.
Yes, the heartland areas, yes.
Are HDB upgraders better off selling their flat first or buying a condo first in today's market?
Okay, I would say there are two ways around it. If you were to sell first, that would avoid ABSD, additional buyer stamp duty, and then you will have a clearer financial planning. Yeah. So if you were to buy first, you must be viable financially. Yeah. And then time-wise, it has to be very sensitive as well. You need to make sure you time properly the sale and the purchase. Yeah. So otherwise you may get into a situation where you have to rent. But there are cases where clients wouldn't want to rush into purchasing. So they may prefer to opt for renting.
If a client has 1.5 million, would you advise them to get one condo or two smaller OCS units for rental income?
Honestly, for 1.5 million at this current market, you can't really buy two properties. I would say 1.5 probably a 3-bedder in the neighboring area. But if you're talking about like 2 smaller condos, maybe you want to consider the budget of about like 1.9 to 2 million. Yeah, that would be a bit more, like matching with what the current sentiment is.
What is the power of TDSR versus MSR?
So the difference between TDSR and MSR, for TDSR, we are talking about total debt servicing ratio. Total debt servicing ratio applies to private property loans, and then it caps at 55% of your income. And then for MSR, it refers to mortgage servicing ratio. So, and it applies to HDBs and ECs, and then it caps at 30% of your income. So you can see there's actually a significant difference between 55 and 30%. So TDSR allows more flexibility for higher income earners. So, for example, if you want to buy a 1 million property, and then with TDSR, you are able to 55% of your income. So, for example, if you own a 10,000 income, you can take 5,500 to apply for a loan. So you can loan up to 5,500 of your salary. Yeah. So with MSR, you are capped at 30%. So if you own a 10,000 salary, they can only take in 30%, which is $3,000 to calculate the loan amount. Yeah.
So would you say that the first option is a better option then?
But of course, having said that, like there is buying a private property, it's of course of a higher quantum, and then EC and HDB is of a lower quantum. But nowadays we see a lot of more than 1 million HDBs coming up too. So it really depends financially. So financial calculation is really important and prudent.
Are new launch condos worth buying?
If you ask me, I would think yes, for first mover advantage in certain locations. I wouldn't say all locations. Okay, so the good thing about buying a new condo is because it offers progressive payment. So it's like a staggered payment. You don't pay a lot upfront. You still pay the 25% down payment, but you pay a progressive payment over time. So the interest paid is actually much lower. Yeah. And with that, you actually, by the time you were to collect key, you probably wouldn't be paying 100% yet.
Big condo versus a small landed house. Mm-hmm. Which one do you think is a better option?
So if you were to ask me, big condos with better security and full facilities, community living is probably the pros of buying a big condo. But if you're talking about like landed, you have privacy, the land value will appreciate over time. And because land scarcity, right? So in Singapore, landed, there's only these few numbers of landed in Singapore. Yeah. So it has, of course, a higher value if you were to think about it that way. Yeah. So, and actually it all depends on the lifestyle needs and the long-term goal as well.
Luxury condo prices are softening. Are we seeing fire sales from desperate investors, or is this a buying opportunity?
I wouldn't say that it's fire sales, but more motivated sellers. Yeah. The luxury condo, we call it, they are in the CCR zone, and we call it the core central region. Yeah. So over the years, the price gap between the CCR and the RCR, which is the rest of central region, which are the city fringe, have kind of like narrowed. So previously, it may be like a 20%, maybe a 90% gap, meaning the RCR is cheaper than the CCR by 90%. But now it has narrowed to maybe we can see like a 20% difference. Yeah, so it's definitely an opportunity to start looking at the luxury market now.
If your client has $10 million and they come to you and they say, I want to invest into shophouses, which direction would you steer them towards and why?
So for shophouses, usually normally we don't look at the transacted price so much because the value of each shop house is unique. Yeah, it is very difficult to know what is the value just by looking at the transactions. So it is very important to look at a few things, probably the footfall for the area, and then we're talking about the usage of the place, approved usage for the place. Shophouses actually has a lot of flexibility. Two places that I may propose to the shophouse buyers would be probably maybe Joo Chiat or Kampong Glam area. Yeah. So in Kampong Glam area, there are the shophouses are reasonably priced, I would say. Yeah. And then with that, it's up and coming as well. So government is, is looking to make the area a bit more vibrant because there's a lot of sunset industry businesses there previously. So now they are looking to, making it better. So I think a lot of investors are trying to go into Kampong Glam now when the price is still okay. Yeah.
What is the most creative financing hack that you've seen your clients use recently?
I would say I had a client who did decoupling recently. It was very challenging because a lot of people think that the calculation for decoupling is actually very straightforward. But I had a few bankers who assisted me and all did the calculation wrongly. So you can see how challenging it is. So I had UOB bankers, 2 UOB bankers, 1 OCBC banker, all did the calculation wrongly. So it is something that is very challenging, but it is very rewarding. If you do the calculation correctly, so I would think that would really help a lot of clients, making their move. Because this client was a little they were trying to purchase this home more for retirement also, but then they wouldn't want to sell their home because of the kids' school and all. So, but they will sell it later on. So we did the decoupling first so that they can purchase first and then later on sell.
With ABSD hikes and cooling measures, how are you helping foreign investors to navigate into Singapore's property market today?
A lot of foreign investors buying into shophouses in Singapore. So I will guide them towards commercial or shophouse properties because there is no ABSD for these properties. Fully commercial properties, basically. So, and the best part is there is also no seller stamp duty. Yeah. So they are free to purchase today and then they can sell 1 month later.
What is the best property investment strategy in Singapore and what to do if you have exhausted all your options locally?
So if you were to ask me, I think first option, the best option out probably is to buy HDB first, if you can. So if you are eligible to buy a HDB and then rent out spare rooms, that's one option. Okay. So second option is you buy a condo and you focus on the outskirt area, closer to the MRTs because that could probably give you a higher rental yield. But that being said, we are not limited to just outskirt area. There are CCR properties where I see them having super high rental yield as well. Yeah, but they do the co-living style. So, and then otherwise, then commercial properties, commercial shop houses, there is no ABSD. And then if you have exhausted locally, maybe consider overseas into the UK, Australia or Japan because they have very similar legal framework in Singapore. Yeah.
What is the future of Singapore's rental market for landlords?
So rental market likely to normalize, stabilize, from the previous pandemic high. In the long-term outlook, I guess we are still going to be strong due to the limited land and then the import of the foreign talent. Yeah. So I guess we are quite good in this area for landlords.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about the Singapore's property market?
The misconceptions are prices can't go higher because they are already so high. Yeah. And then the reality is in Singapore, like I said, land is scarce. And then, so we have also master planning, the government is planning, supporting long-term growth in Singapore. So that would help us help our price to appreciate further. And there is another misconception that people always think that, always buy new launch or HDB always appreciate. So this may not always be true. So I bought my HDB many years back, maybe 11 years back. Mm-hmm. I bought it at maybe 350,000 and I sold it at 380,000.
Oh, wow.
So
yes.
Yeah. And it's a big HDB.
Yeah.
And it's in a convenient location and I have a, top school right below my block. Yeah.
So what do you think are some of the factors that affect HDBs not appreciating?
I guess it's the market. I would think it's the market because at that point of time when we purchased, it was more of a hot market, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's COV everywhere. But we didn't wanted to pay such a high COV. So we purchased something that is of probably the least COV I can find. Yeah. But then when I was selling it, the market was, like it wasn't a hot market anymore. Yeah. So I guess it's the timing as well.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting to know. I think because a lot of people, they have the misconception that if I invest into a HDB, then when I sell it in a couple of years, they expect to get this amount of returns and then they get disappointed when they don't, right?
Yeah. It's very important, the timing, I feel.
Yeah. What is the number one tip you have for property investors with multiple properties?
So I would think to structure the ownership strategically to minimize ABSC. That's one. And then, so to rebalance between capital appreciation and rental yield. And lastly, monitor the LTV ratios carefully. Yeah.
Why does shophouse investing have the potential to deliver exponential returns?
So because, the reason is mainly because there is limited supply in Singapore. So conservation status in Singapore, we are talking about like just a handful, like maybe around like 5,000 over units. So it's really scarce and unique. And then it actually has flexibility in commercial shophouses, conservation shophouses. So it can be for use for commercial or residential. Yeah, you just need to do a change of use. And then the renter itself, I would say that for F&B, you would be able to get a good rental. Yeah.
Why are shophouses so expensive in Singapore?
So shophouses are so expensive is because mostly they are freehold. They has long leases and they are heritage. They have the conservation status. Yeah. So, and they are located actually strategically, mostly in the city fringe area. Yeah. And so investors come in, they probably like to minimize ABSD, they would go into shophouses. So there is a strong demand for shophouses.
What are the various different types of shophouses available for investment in 2025?
Okay, so we have conservation shophouses in the primary and the secondary zone as well. So, and then we have the full commercial zone commercial units. Yeah. And then we also have mixed use like HDB shophouses where you have living quarters upstairs and commercial units downstairs.
Which area in Singapore has the best shophouses?
So, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's the best, but I think strong demand, I would say strong demand in Chinatown area, Tanjong Pagar, Little India, and Kampong Glam.
For mass affluent Singaporeans who are looking to grow their net worth, is property a good choice?
Definitely yes. Especially rental yielding or capital appreciation condos or commercial units. So if you were to use CPF, leverage smart, look for long-term stays. Yeah. And then consider overseas diversification as well if, you have exhausted locally.
Congratulations on your recent book launch of 5 mistakes first-time landed buyers make in Singapore and how to avoid them. What inspired you to launch this book?
So I have seen many clients lose money due to lack of due diligence. So I wanted to educate and empower first-time buyers, mainly to fill a knowledge gap in a high-stakes property segment.
What is the number one mistake that first-time landed buyers make in Singapore?
So I would think that it's overpaying for the land without understanding true valuation.
What is the second mistake that first-time landed buyers make in Singapore?
So probably underestimating renovation or rebuild cost.
And what is the third mistake that first-time landed buyers make in Singapore?
So ignoring URA and BCA constraints that affects property value and potential is something that is you shouldn't forget to look into.
What is the fourth mistake that first-time landed buyers make in Singapore?
Probably skipping professional inspection before purchase because there may be leakages, and serious structure issues with the property. So it's best to engage professional.
So that basically means that they end up paying more than they thought they would.
Because if it's a structure issue or especially a waterproofing issue, like a leakage can, usually leakages are very, very hard to solve or it cannot be solved. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's really important to, like make sure. Yeah. So this is one of like a very important factor whenever I help clients to buy a place as well. Like when I go viewing with clients, I'll look out for all these signs as well.
What is the fifth mistake that first-time landed buyers make in Singapore?
I would think not planning for long-term financing strategy. So meaning they are looking only, like just for now, like forgetting it's a long-term servicing kind of mortgage that you need to also plan into your full financial.
How does your real estate practice differ from the other 36,000 real estate agents that there are out there?
So for me, I focus a lot on data-driven insights and asset elevation strategy. Yeah. So I specialized in landed and commercial segment, not just HDB or condos. So I do have clients coming to me asking me, do you do industrial as well? I said, oh, I do. Because then she was like, I thought not everyone does industrial. I said, but I have interest in all the different types of properties in Singapore. So I do all of them. Yeah. So I have a knowledge in them. I'm trained to do so. Yeah.
Do you have like the ideal type of client? What is your best type of client to serve and why?
I would think mass affluent to high net worth individuals looking to grow their wealth through real estate, clients who value strategic advice over sales talk, and then especially first-time landed or shop house buyers or investors building a multi-property portfolio. And also those seeking for a long-term partner, not just an agent.
Well, I learned very much from you and this conversation today. So thank you so much for being on the GrowCast Show. And that was episode 89 of the GrowCast Show with Stella Tan, Senior Associate Director at PropNex. Thank you.
Thank you.